Hello, everybody. It is Dr. Roz. I'm the education peer for Friends of Financial Freedom, founded by Darshan Kendrick. On behalf of Darshan, Deborah, I just want to say welcome to Friends of Financial Freedom. I know that you're a new member, and one of the things that I love to do when we have new members is interview you, particularly when it's somebody like you as a professional who has so much to offer to our community. So Deborah is the CPA, founder of Charter Accounting, and we are just delighted that you are here with us today. So with that, Deborah, I'm going to just say, tell us a little bit about you and what you do and how folks can interact with you in the accounting world.
Sure. Well, so for those that don't know me, I'm actually a 3-decade now entrepreneur, which I'm hesitant to say that because then people add up how old I am, but I've been in this space for literally 3 decades now. And I've seen so much change, just like everything in the past 3 decades have changed, technology and everything. But I think particularly for women professionals in the financial space, we've seen a huge difference. I'm still not thinking it's where it needs to be. Still when I go to different conferences around the country, we're still kind of a minority, but I think we're a little bit more vocal and a little bit more seen minority than we were before. But and I do think that the conversation with women and money is a little bit different. The principles of money are the same, but we do relate to it a little bit differently, just like we do in everything, really. But my claim to fame is actually having owned this accounting business for 3 decades. I just finished my 30th tax season, which is just almost, I don't even know where the time went. But it's really so much more than just the money. I don't want to get off on a tangent, but to me, I'm a little introspective having just gone through this, and so many clients that I've had for that long, and I've got their kids, and maybe they are bringing their parents stuff who now they're handling it. It's just the relationships, I think, are a little bit even more than, of course, I'm in it to make money, but what I value more is just the relationships. And I know the impact that I've really had on people's lives. Really kind of crazy when you think about it.
Yeah.
But I really am.
You know what that says to me, Deborah, is that folks will come to you. My dad was a CPA. He owned his own firm. My sister is a CPA. She's actually CFO of their company, and then she does side projects. And oftentimes, people will gather, especially solopreneurs or folks who are just kind of starting out on their financial freedom pathway. They will gather their stuff and go talk to their accountant once a year. But it sounds like you are interested in building those relationships. And I love what you're talking about, that it's parents, and then sometimes it's their kids, and sometimes they bring their parents things because, sometimes we're dealing with that. I'm curious, what do you tell parents when they say, I'm going to have to dip into my retirement to pay for college because college has gotten so crazy expensive?
That's got to be a last resort. It's got, obviously we can't say never do it because we can't get in everybody's situation. Financial situation is, I often say, it's just as unique as their fingerprint. So we can't make a blanket never do it. But pretty much 99.9% never do it. Because the problem is there's so many other ways to fund your child's education. But if you basically plunder your retirement, that's going to, we could get into a whole tangent of people haven't saved enough for retirement, period. And then you're going to dip into what you haven't saved enough of already to pay for your child's education, when there are so many other ways to fund education than through your retirement. I would say it's a no-no. It's like a last resort. That's not just because I know you're in that space, Dr. Roz, but it's just would not be something that I think people should do. Going back to what you said about working with people all year long, unlike a lot of CPAs that are only doing kind of historical, looking back at last year, tax returns and what I call compliance work, which is really filing the tax returns and stuff like that. I feel like it's really a much more holistic situation. The taxes are part of your finances, but not the only thing. I say, don't let the tax tail wag the dog. Okay. It's important, and you've got to keep your, that into it, but it's only a piece of the finances, really. And so I do a lot of educational stuff throughout the year for my clients, and not even for non-clients. We do a session called Wealth 101. It goes through all the different 6 pillars of your finances, your protection, and your, estate planning, and your financial, just everything, cash flow, all those different things. And it all does integrate together. It's kind of like being a little bit of a financial doctor in a way. When I'm doing their tax return, I see where some of the gaps are a little bit. You know, you can see if somebody's making good income, but there's no interest, no dividends, you know, obviously something's going on. Because I mean, you've heard me say this before. I know it's all about making more, keeping more, and growing more.
Yes.
And somewhere, if you're not, especially as a business owner, because you know, I'm, you know, as a 30-year entrepreneur, I am a junkie for owning your own business. I think it's the absolute best way to create wealth. People that are stuck in, I mean, obviously not everybody can own a business. Not everybody has the personality, the gumption, the whatever it takes. I don't know, the insanity that it takes.
Exactly.
But it is actually I mean, if you're a W-2 employee, if you have a salary, you can make good income, but I do not see as many of those people building true wealth, unless they're at the highest level where they are getting, you know, equity or from their company, or they are getting some kind of access to shares or things like that. I mean, it's hard when you're not in that, where we can control our income, right? And I say this all the time. The beauty of being an entrepreneur, and especially if you're set up and do the other things that I tell people to do, is we're in control of their inflow, which is the biggest thing. Like if your child needs, or you have to go to, you know, your child is about to start college, and you've got to, all of a sudden, you've got this extra expense every year for the next 4 years. You can't go to your boss and say, hey boss, you know, Sally is going to college. I need an extra $20,000. He'll be like, get back to your cube and shush, shush, shush. I mean, but I, or you, or anyone that's an entrepreneur would say, okay, I need to raise an extra $20,000 a year. You figure out, what do I have? Obviously, you already have something that people need. You have people that want it. Is there something more I could sell to my clients? Could I sell something more frequently to my clients? Can I go get more clients? We're in control of that inflow, right?
Yes. Yes, you know? That is gold. Yes.
And so that's the beauty, I think, of being an entrepreneur. But then also, okay, now that I've brought in more money, I think it's super, super important to be involved with somebody like me, or someone that does what I do, that helps you keep more of what you're making. And the biggest expense, that's flat out, you know, other than college, those 4 years, is your house, is your housing, and your taxes. I mean, so if you're going to focus on what can I really do to save money, you know, look at what you're spending on your, you know, house and your, you know, expenses that go along with living. But then the second one would be taxes. And the reality is, it's not just taxes today, it's taxes over your lifetime.
That's right. That's right.
Investments, the way that you structure things, you know, can make a difference. You may be saving money today, but is that the smart thing for down the way? You don't, I mean, and the thing is, sometimes people start hearing this kind of information, they just shut down. But it's like, okay, wait. It's kind of like, to me, a little bit on health stuff. I mean, it's so much information out there. I'm like, who do I listen to? What do I do? What's right for me? And again, it goes back to that fingerprint. Everybody's situation is a little bit different. But
also, I think, Deborah, too, it goes back to relationships. Because I imagine, yes, we're all inundated with this health stuff, but if you have a relationship with your healthcare provider, then that's the one that you go to ask the questions. And I think that's what sets you apart from so many other CPAs. My dad was excellent at that. My dad's been gone almost 20 years, and I still am, like, I'm friends with people on Facebook who he was their CPA. I'll run into people in Athens who still remember him. I just talked to somebody this weekend that still remembers him because he believed in those relationships. And I just think that is so beautiful. Well, we're going to in this interview now, but what I would love for you to do, Deborah, is obviously go back in and put in your contact information. But the webinar that you do that's open to the public, is that something that's recorded, that you could drop a recording, or is that something that you do live that you'd be willing to invite us to next time you offer?
Oh yeah, definitely. We do it both ways. I have some recordings of them, and I actually can post below. I have a place where I have a really great one that I did a few months ago called Money Moves to Make Now, that I can post the link to that below us. But I do the Wealth 101s and those kind of things very either live, mostly live, and then I put it out recorded for people that didn't make it to it. But I do them fairly frequently. So I'd be glad to post it the next time I have one in the site. In the group, if you're open to that.
Yeah, because again, as an education fair, what I want our group to have is resources and places to go to ask those questions. I just put something in there recently from somebody that was talking about, here are all the different things that you need to do for estate planning. And I said, I'm not a financial planner, and y'all weigh in, but I mean, it seemed like to be, a good place start a conversation. And that's really what we want to do. Deborah, you and I have so many circles in common, and I am just so deeply grateful to you for so many things. And today, I am so grateful that you joined Friends of Financial Freedom, that you were willing to be interviewed, and thank you for sharing your wisdom so generously with our community.
Hey, thank you so much. I'm glad to, it embarrasses my kids. I'm such a junkie about this, but it's so important. I mean, life isn't about money, but it impacts everything that's important. So why not get a handle on it, so that make every other part of your life easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, with that, we look forward to seeing your post in our group, and thank you again. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.